Hi, everyone. I'm Roshan. I'm the University Program Assistant Director here at Mousefelt, and I'm so excited to have Liz from ETC Labs joining. Thank you for being part of the Reimagine 2020 conference, and thank you for doing this great workshop for us. And Liz, I'll let you introduce yourself and get started with the workshop.
Thanks, Rohan. Glad to be here. Thank you, Mousefelt, for having Ethereum Classic Labs here today. So again, my name is Liz Kuka. I'm the Executive Director at Ethereum Classic Labs and Principal Investor at Digital Finance Group. And today I'm going to give a crash course on investing in crypto from A to Z. It's going to be pretty quick, around 15 to 20 minutes. And then after that, I'm going to do a one-on-one fireside chat with 5 different guests who represent different aspects of the presentation. So a little bit about Ethereum Classic Labs. Our goal is to fulfill the promise of blockchain, which is to improve people's lives using Ethereum Classic and other blockchain solutions. And we do that by partnering with organizations like startups, universities, and investors to address those fundamental challenges. So that's a little bit about us. And you can find out more at etclabs.org. All right, and so the fun stuff. I'm going to cover 7 different sections really quick. In the beginning, I'm going to define risk and reward and difficulty when it comes to investing in crypto and blockchain. And then I'm going to cover these 7 different areas. So reward systems, banking and DeFi, exchanges, mining pools, crowdsourcing, equity investing, and hedge funds. Okay, so it's quite a bit. I'm happy to share these slides afterwards as well. You can email me. At the end, you'll see my email address. Okay, so you got to stick with us until the very end of the presentation. And then I'll conclude with a fireside chat. All right, so what you're going to see on each slide is a denomination, like $50 all the way up to $4 signs. That's going to designate if something's no risk or very low reward, all the way up to high risk and high reward. This is defined by me, right? This isn't coming from anywhere special. This is just my experience in the space. All right, there's also a difficulty rating. Difficulty rating follows green, yellow, and red, and is defined by, and again, defined by myself, so this is my experience using these tools. This is defined by how easy the onboarding is, if there's on-ramps and off-ramps available, which means how easy is it to get your money on and off. And then it moves into a little bit more complicated when there's new vocabulary that you have to master and some expertise required. And then it becomes challenging when you need in-depth knowledge and expertise and a little bit more technical skill. And so at that very far end, that's when we're going to get into things like candlestick trading and mining. Again, these slides are available afterwards if you're interested, but here's kind of a sense of where I personally have placed some of these solutions on this difficulty rating. And this is meant for total beginners, folks who are really just getting started in this space. So rewards. Rewards mean that you don't have to put in any money and you can get crypto for free. And Brave browser is one of those ways that you can do that. It's just like Google Chrome, and it's actually a version of Chromium. It's a browser, so you just download the browser, and as long as you enable seeing advertisements, you can start earning BAT. Those are Brave rewards. And so if you look on the right side of my screen, what you can see is that I've earned 16.8 BAT rewards. So what in the world does that mean? Well, I can cash those out today for $3.45 US. I've actually earned more rewards than that. I've actually earned 61 BAT. And so today in my wallet through Brave, I have $12.56 USD without putting in a single penny. Now I put this as a little bit more complicated, not just super easy, because it seems super easy, but it's not so easy to get my money off. I have to bring on a third-party provider called Upholds. I have to open up an account, I have to transfer my funds over, I have to then transfer it over to my bank account. And so there's multiple steps in the process to get those funds off. That was that on-ramp, off-ramp part that I mentioned earlier. So again, it's a little bit more complicated because you have to learn new vocabulary like on-ramp and off-ramp. And so I put it as a little bit complicated. Ecoin, this is another reward system. You don't have to spend a single dollar to use Ecoin. Ecoin essentially allows you to receive airdrops from some of their campaign participants like Civic. And by opening an account with Ecoin, you automatically receive 90 tokens of Ecoin and then 600 as soon as you start participating. The difficult thing with Ecoin is that you can only exchange it on one exchange. It's a decentralized exchange called Probit. So there's only one place you can take these things, and the value's pretty low, like less than a penny. So I don't know if I even have a single penny just yet, but it's a great way to get into crypto. So if you're kind of skeptical or you don't want to spend your funds or you're worried about losing your money, you know, this is a free way to get started. So we covered rewards. Next up, banking and DeFi. Celsius network, super easy to use. And you're gonna hear from Ashley later a little bit more. So the interface is really clean, it's really simple. You open an account and you automatically have sell tokens without putting a single penny onto the platform. And you start earning interest right away. You can see in the bottom left-hand corner that I now have 14 cents in US dollar or one full sell token. In the middle square, middle rectangle, you see that it's pretty easy to check my wallet address and to move my sell off into Bitcoin. So it's super simple. It's really easy to use. It's very user-friendly. Love it. Another banking DeFi product, Linus. You'll hear from Matthew Nummer in just a bit. With Linus, you can earn 4% interest on having your money in a Linus account. So how in the world do they make this magic happen? Well, I'll tell you in just a second. But I want to show a calculator that they have on their site that shows how much you can earn by keeping money on Linus. So if I were to deposit $1,000 today, in 30 years, that would turn into $3,200 compared to a traditional savings account. Now increase that to 10,000, it goes to 32,000, 100,000, 300,000, right? And so it's a pretty good system in place to earn higher interest that you can't really find in most places. And again, how do they make this magic happen? Oh, sorry. This is a slide showing how easy it is to deposit. But how do they make it happen? Well, there's no crypto on the front end. So as a new user to crypto, you don't have to see anything about Ethereum Classic, Bitcoin, Cell, anything like that. They just plug in on the back end to decentralized digital asset credit markets, and they peg this to USDC, to a stable coin. And what that does is it decreases volatility to make sure you have the stability of the US dollar. It's a 1-to-1 peg ratio. So you're getting all of the benefits of decentralized finance without actually having to really touch it, understand it, or become acquainted with it. Last one in banking and DeFi is Dharma. I put this as a yellow. If you see a little bit more complicated, and the reason why, I'll explain in just a second. It's super simple to use, honestly. It's just as fast as Venmo or faster. First screen, I'm going to click make a deposit. I can connect my Twitter account and send money folks through Twitter. I have my own Twitter account ready to go. And then on the left side, the reason it becomes a little bit more complicated is because I actually have to withdraw from my MetaMask wallet and move that money from MetaMask into my Dharma wallet. And for some people, having to set up a MetaMask account might be daunting. Having to put money onto this account might be daunting. And then having to do all of that just to connect with Dharma, even though it sounds like simple, it's probably a headache for a lot of people, but it's really easy to do. And in the end, I earned 0.78 APR. So not bad for something so simple. All right, number 3, exchanges and trading. Coinbase, San Francisco exchange, super easy to use. Looks just like this. Ethereum Classic on the bottom, selling for over a little more than $6 today. All I have to do is put in how much I want to buy. For $20, I'm going to get 2.84 ETC. I don't have to hold the crypto, which for some people that's kind of a big no-no, but for someone who's just getting started, it's super simple because I put in that $20, I buy my 2.848 in Ethereum Classic, and Coinbase holds it for me. They do the custodying for me. So for somebody who's just getting started and is still not really comfortable with crypto and passwords and having keys and things like that, this can be a really simple, nice solution. They also have Coinbase Pro for more experienced folks. All right, Binance. This one's both simple and complicated or challenging, and the reason why is because within a few clicks of a button, you can get to a very complicated and scary looking screen for folks who aren't used to finance and trading. So at first glance, it's amazingly simple. I can buy Bitcoin right away. Love it. I don't have to click around too much. But then you go into the market, and within 1 second, for somebody who's not into trading and they see candlestick trading, those are those green and red long strips that demonstrate either a bear or a bull market, right? Or price changes. That becomes really scary really quickly, overwhelming, don't want to play, I want to exit. And so for this reason, I've put it as challenging. Mining pools, really quick. I'm not going to go too much into CPU mining, but Kudo and Gather both do CPU mining. So what that means is you plug into their system and you're allowing it or granting it access to use your CPUs when they're not being utilized, and you pretty much earn pennies. You do have to pay energy, of course, so that's something to take into consideration. And then traditional mining like F2 pool. I put this as challenging because for a lot of reasons. One, it can be really expensive to buy hardware. Two, just learning how to set up a mining rig is not so simple. Three, you oftentimes have to deal with APIs or always. So it's a big learning curve, and it can take a long time to really feel comfortable with diving in. But with that said, teams like F2 Pool do have tutorials on their site so that you can kind of follow a step-by-step on how to mine. They also have calculators in place so that you can quickly see if I put in this much money, this much hash power, and spend this much on energy, this is my expected return in a single day. So that's kind of nice. So for example, to mine Ethereum Classic at 8,606 hash rate, I'm going to make around $137 in a single day mining ETC. Again, if you want to look at different mining rigs to purchase or to use, they also have that available on the site. It's all for free. But like I said, if you're not comfortable looking at code or going into a terminal and looking at an API or using an API, you're probably not going to be that comfortable getting into mining. And just to show one addition to F2 Pool, Nanopool is also out there, but it's equally as scary and challenging for someone who's just starting. You have to be comfortable looking at pool hash rate, what's the difference between a miner and a worker, and understanding rewards and block rewards. So I think this is something that is pretty challenging for somebody just getting in. And if you see on the right side of the screen, there are 8 steps, and honestly, it's more like 20 because within each step, there's about 10 more, just to get an idea of what it's going to take to really get a mining rig up and running, including linking your Ethereum Classic wallet, getting the mining software up and running. It's just quite a bit. Crowdsource. So here's another way that you can get involved in crypto and blockchain pretty quickly. I put medium risk, medium reward because with Coinlist, you have to know a bit about blockchain companies or blockchain startups and projects and their ecosystem and the tech underneath the hood to really feel comfortable and confident in investing in one of these teams. And so because of that, I put medium risk, medium reward. You're probably going to want to put in more than 10 bucks because this is an auction style format that Mike from Coinlist is going to talk about in just a little bit. So you're probably going to have to put in a little bit more money, and the difficulty is it's just not so straightforward because you have to do your research. On the screen here, you can see 2 auctions that they hosted recently. One was Solana and another was Celo. And they both sold out. So that's pretty awesome that you can join Coinlist auction. And so far, it's almost a guarantee that those teams that they're supporting are going to do really well. They only host 4 auctions per year or work with 4 teams. So they vet hundreds of companies and only select 4 over the course of the year to do an auction with, and you have some pretty good returns like this. They also have a really in-depth FAQ, so you can do your research on these companies. And a screen that's not showing, that's a bummer, but there was one more screen that shows a graph on how the coin performed during the auction. One more team in the crowdsourcing space is Republic. I have them, oh, I forgot to put the mark, but the mark would have been also the same. So Republic is like any other crowdsourcing site, like a start engine, for example, where you get access to over 100 startups. So there's no one really doing, they've done their vetting, but it's still quite a bit of startups to have to look through to choose who you want to invest in. All of these companies touch blockchain or crypto in some way, or at least make a promise that they're going to. So if you really want to be 100% in crypto and blockchain, some of these teams are pretty light touch. And sometimes you also see a minimum investment of say $100. And there's also some maximums based on your income. I believe it starts at $2,000 that you can invest on their platform over the course of an entire year, and then it maxes out at $100,000. All right, we're almost done. Got 2 more to go. Equity investing. So Digital Finance Group, firm that invests in lots of startups in the space. You're going to see Brave and LedgerX and RSK. Just like any other investor in the space, usually check size 25K, maybe 5 if you talk to an angel investor doing a syndicate, up to $1 million. But the reason I use this slide and talk about equity investing is that because you're an everyday investor, an angel investor, and you just want to get into blockchain and crypto, and you don't know where to go, you can always kind of shack up with an investor in the space who's doing the diligence, who's been in the space for a long time, and try and co-invest with them or get in on their deal flow. And then last, hedge funds. I totally screwed up on these slides, everybody. There's no difficulty rating on these last few. So hedge fund and AlphaSigma, you're going to meet with in just a little bit. This is high risk and high reward. I think AlphaSigma, they have an interesting strategy to do hedge fund. A lot of people just do Bitcoin only or top 10 performing coins only. Maybe they do a quant strategy. At AlphaSigma, they invest in altcoins that have a coin market cap of 10 million or above, but they're not going after a coin like an Ethereum Classic or a Bitcoin or an Ethereum that have a coin market cap over 800 million or $1 billion, right? So they're going with the teams that are much earlier stage, but still are probably going to do fairly well, where you can have a pretty good return. All right, so with that, I think I did okay. I think I spent around 15 minutes on this, kept it on time, and now it's time for the fireside chat. So with that, first up is Matt Nemmer from Linus. Matt, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Okay, great. Matt, all right, we got 5 minutes. So quickly, tell us quickly about yourself.
Sure. Matt Nemmer, I'm the CEO of Linus. Linus itself is a high yield deposit account. Think Goldman Sachs Marcus, Betterment, Wealthfront. The only difference is we're offering up to 4.5%. We do that by helping users enter stable coins on their behalf. I mean, you showed the screenshot. Nobody ever has to know that. You just know that you're in fiat, and then helping connect you to digital asset credit markets.
Okay, I think you just answered my next question also.
Oh, I'm sorry.
But that's okay, that's okay. And tell me, so how is this legal?
So, I mean, it's legal because the regulators really haven't made any sort of judgment on whether or not stablecoins are legal. The beauty about what we're doing is that we're just helping connect users to borrowers. So we're not ourselves the loan originator. We leverage other platforms that are doing that. But the federal regulators have taken a light touch with stable coins, and I think it's improbable that they would make them illegal unless there was some central bank digital currency, in which case, we are set up to where we could pivot and utilize that.
Okay. And can I participate in the state of California? Are there any states that are restricted?
No states that are restricted, but we are limited to the United States and anybody that's over 18. We do KYC. We use a partner called Passbase to help us with that.
Okay. And how are you guys, so there's tons of DeFi companies out there right now. Everyone wants to get, increase in interest and help with these benefits. Like, how are you guys different than everybody else?
Yeah, so I mean, we're entirely UX focused. When we started, my business partner and I, Matt Hamilton, we looked at wireframes of all the sort of traditional high yield savings account, knowing that coming from crypto, we are inherently going to have those crypto biases in us. So, looking at where they were all similar and really letting the user experience and the user interface drive the technology. And so, you don't have to know how to use a crypto wallet. You can come crypto curious, or even just knowing that you want to have a yield that is better than what you can get with something that is correlated to the Federal Reserve.
Sometimes people say, like, if your grandma can't use it, then you need to work on the user experience, right, and make it more simple. Have you tested this on your grandma or somebody over the age, let's say, 70?
So okay. So my grandmother has a flip phone that she never uses it, and she calls that her Facebook. So I don't know if she would even, I don't know how we would facilitate that. Not somebody over 70, but over 65, yes. The questions tend to be, is this FDIC insured? Where's my money, right? There's a lot of follow-ups. That is a secondary market that's sort of tech focused, boomers, Gen Xers, I guess. But oftentimes you tend to hit a wall.
Okay. All right, Matt. Well, thank you for your time. Looking forward
Great.
to seeing Linus out there. All right. Next up, Celsius. Ashley, hello. How are you doing?
Great. I'm enjoying some homebrew right now because it's 5 o'clock, so I'm gonna go for it.
Oh, Ashley, always impressing. The homebrew. Okay, tell us about Celsius in 30 seconds.
Yeah, so Celsius is a mobile phone app where you can place your crypto assets and earn back interest on your crypto. It's also a place where you can put your crypto up as collateral to take a very cost-effective fiat loan from Celsius. So if you don't necessarily want to sell your Bitcoin, we'll give you a loan against that Bitcoin instead. We have a lot of relationships with institutional partners as well, which is helping us bridge that gap. And our main mission is to give back 80% of what we take in directly to our community. So that's how we're able to pay the interest.
Okay, and can anyone participate?
So we're worldwide. We're not focused on just North America. We're really all over. We do have a few restrictions on certain countries, just in alignment with basic OFAC restrictions. And then there are some state-by-state special differences on the types of loans you can take. Like you and I are both in California, so we're still working on getting the lending license sorted out so that Californians can enjoy taking loans from us as well.
And so you mentioned that if I don't want to give up my Bitcoin, I can take out a loan, right? To kind of bypass doing that. Like who is the regular loan taker? Like who's usually working with you guys for those loans?
So we're working with, lately, we've been getting a lot of loan requests for smaller loans, and we're actually running a promo right now in response to, this mass pandemic, COVID-19. We're actually offering loans at only 1% interest. So we have a whole program dedicated to this. We're going to fund $10 million in loans to small users who really just need some extra cash in this time. And we have had
what's a small user? Wait, what's a small user? How much is small?
$1,000.
Okay, so I can't take out like a home loan with you. I can't get a house. I can't get like a mortgage loan.
We can definitely give you a much larger loan. It's all based. Sorry, there's some sirens going by. It's all based on the loan to value ratio. So if you have a larger amount of crypto available to put as collateral, we'll give you a much larger loan.
I see.
Always working in that sort of tandem, and you can check out our loan calculator on our website to see, like, with what your assets are, what you could take. You can also put that in the app.
All right, and how many users are on Celsius today?
So we just surpassed 100,000 users, and we're very excited to see our volume increasing every day. We're adding about $1 million in our AUM. which is approaching about 600 million under management today.
When did you guys start? What year is this right now? Which birthday year?
We all started in early 2018, so we've just passed 2 years. The concept was kind of come up with at the end of 2017, and we started hiring in January of 2018.
All right. Well, thank you, Ashley. Thanks for talking to us about Celsius.
Thanks, Liz.
Yeah. All right, next up, Coinlist. Mike, how's it going?
It's going well. Thanks for having me join.
Hey, so tell us about
That's the right one.
Coinlist.
Yeah, so Coinlist's mission is really to help the high potential crypto projects to grow and succeed. For much of Coinlist's history, that's meant focusing on managing and hosting public token sales. More recently, we introduced our own cryptocurrency exchange and also staking on the Celo network, which you saw we just ran an auction for. But definitely what we're most well known for right now is hosting these large public token sales.
All right, so Mike, I have been wanting to participate in one of these auctions and I keep trying and every time I get denied. Why is that?
You should contact the SEC. They're the ones to talk to here. Really, when it comes to participation in these sales, the teams are taking a look at the regulatory regime of the jurisdictions that they're looking to sell the tokens in. Given the sort of uncertainty and generally, not totally positive stance that the SEC has taken towards hosting these sales. In most cases, or definitely more recently, teams are deciding, you know what, why don't we just avoid U.S. citizens altogether and we'll sell these to the rest of the world.
Okay. All right.
So keep working on it, but don't hold your breath yet.
Can I open a bank account in Germany and participate, or is it still no? Because I have to own a house there or something.
We do full KYC for each participant. That means you're uploading your passport, and if you are I'm not the compliance officer, but if you are a U.S. citizen, you probably can't participate, period, no matter where you're living. Whereas if you are a foreign citizen living in the U.S., I also don't think you can participate. But yeah, for the most part, you're probably out of luck for some of these sales, and you have to wait for it to be on an exchange that is allowing U.S. investors to purchase the token.
Okay, well that's a great segue because my next question is about exchanges. So teams like Celo and Solana, do you have exclusive rights? Like, are they only listed on the Coinlist exchange, or how does that work?
We don't have exclusive rights. As you're well aware, once the token is out there, it can kind of trade anywhere. It's not like the New York Stock Exchange or NASDAQ where it has exclusivity to an exchange. For the most part, these things end up trading everywhere. And for the most part, that's a good thing because you want liquidity in different markets. The exclusivity that we generally require is that for the public token sale, that is an exclusive Coinlist offering. Once it's into a secondary market, it's theoretically going to trade on Coinbase, Binance, Bitso, you name it. It'll hopefully trade on a lot of exchanges because that's what ultimately global market people are looking for, access to these tokens on their favorite exchange.
How many investors are working with you right now on the platform?
So there's about 270,000 registered users. Not every single one of them has invested in a token sale on the platform. We've probably had maybe like 40 to 50,000 people that have invested in sales. So a lot of people that are just getting our updates, reading the newsletter, seeing what might come next. But those are kind of the rough numbers for the number of people using the service or just kind of staying in the Coinlist ecosystem.
Okay, and you've had 4 auctions so far, is that right?
So we've done 3 auctions dating back to a year ago, and then we've done roughly 12 public sales. So we're not capping ourselves at 4 per year. It's sort of just worked out that way. Then in the past 3 years, we've done on average about 4. I think we're we're open to doing more, and I actually expect us to do more this year because we did Solana already. We just did Cello. We've got a couple more coming up. But our focus has always been on really high quality assets that we think have a lot of potential, as opposed to just going for the volume play and doing one of these a week.
All right. I like that you only do 4 per year. Like people can really like prepare and get excited. Okay, last
That's
question.
true. That's true. It makes it harder for me as the salesperson because I need to find more of these.
Okay. All right. So last question. And how much has the team raised for your teams in all?
Yeah. So since inception, the Filecoin offering in 2017 was our first sale. That's still the biggest. They raised a little over 200 million. Over the past 3 years, we've helped teams raise a little over 800 million. Cello, the most recent, raised 10 million in their auction.
Okay, great, cool. Thanks, Mike.
Thank you.
All right, next up, Charlie. I don't know, man. There we go. Charlie with Edgemode. Charlie, can you hear me?
I can hear you, Liz. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Charlie, will you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Okay, good evening, everyone. I'm Charlie. Charlie Faulkner, CEO of Edgemode. We're a US business, but with operations here in the UK, where I'm talking to you today, and over in the US. Edgemode, we are a high-performance computing data center business. We exist to serve the demand for HPC solutions. That's pretty significant today, and it's set to grow up to $50 billion by 2022. So essentially, if you believe in the growth of things like AI, blockchain, of course, big data and research, then you'll probably understand the value of HPC, because that's the lifeblood for those applications. And I think that's been underlined and accelerated since the COVID-19 crisis too. So our business model really enables quick and custom utilization of HPC without the need for the user to essentially buy the infrastructure upfront and outlay that capital or pay excessive fees to enterprise cloud providers, so like Amazon or Google.
So, Charlie, I'm going to interrupt you. Wait a minute.
Yeah,
So,
I'm about to give you what I think you're going to ask me. Go on.
So Edgemode, like when I first heard about you guys, I got really excited because it was a Bitcoin farm. And I thought to myself, oh, I want to get on a Bitcoin farm. How do I do that? And then you quickly let me know, but Liz, it's not just the Bitcoin farm. The real value here is the data center. So can you help everyone understand like how that is split into and why?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked. So look, I mean, we are running a Bitcoin mining operation. So really that just sits within the data center. We just see it as a function of the data center. The way the two businesses or the two revenue streams are successful are the same. We have very low cost electricity, right? So anyone who's involved in Bitcoin mining knows that the biggest variable for success or failure is the OPEX cost, which is the cost of electricity. So we've done partnership deals with energy providers to essentially get very, very low cost energy, which enables us to be profitable on Bitcoin mining, Bitcoin price of $3,500. And so, that's pretty robust. Now, HPC is it's a huge growth area. We see 90% of our revenues actually coming from HPC in the next 5 years. So, yes, we're excited about the opportunity to mine Bitcoin efficiently and at scale using a lot of energy. And we'll continue to do that. It gives us quick cash flow. There's no sales demand. We can just turn it on and it runs. However, if you look at the profitability and sheer scale of opportunity, you get really excited about high performance computing. This thing's not going away. It's the lifeblood for all the growth areas and mega trends that we're seeing in technology today, like AI, IoT, research, and things like that.
So if I understand correctly, your team, the Edgemode team, it's a little bit unique to another data center or like a mining operation because, and your sound is super low, so I'm going to repeat some of this stuff just to make sure everyone catches it. Okay. But your team has access to really cheap energy and cold storage, right? And when what I mean by cold storage is underground storage facilities. If I remember correctly, the size of like 50 football fields, right? So you have access to like crazy amount of space.
We do, yeah. So yeah, you're exactly right. I think hopefully you can hear me a bit better now. But the energy price is very low. We actually have containers, so we have container units, like prefabricated units, which we have all the hardware in. They will sit in a underground storage facility, which, just as you mentioned there, it's an incredible facility. It's absolutely huge. It's currently being used by the US government and military for storage, for specialized equipment and provisions, which they would use in specific scenarios that I shouldn't really talk about. But it's incredibly secure. So yeah, very unique. So our edge is that. It's also the fact that we are running at a lower OPEX because of the energy cost, and we're utilizing some interesting technology. So we actually have a partnership with Bitfury and their subsidiary Allied Control, and we are using their immersion cooling tech, which in layman terms is just really a fantastic way to maintain your hardware so it becomes more efficient and high performing, versus cooling heat using air. This is cooling heat using fluid. So we've married a lot of different variables which we think are best practice, and we've created an efficient model which not only mines Bitcoin at scale efficiently, but also enables us to take a slice of the pretty huge HPC demand.
All right, last question before we say goodbye. If I'm an investor who wants to get in on edgemode, what's the minimum to participate?
Great question. Love that question. The minimum is $100,000. So
USD or pounds?
No,
okay.
USD. We're not prejudiced. We'll take USD for sure. And we're just started our raise. So Liz, you were the first person to receive our deck yesterday. Our website. So this is our coming out party.
I'm going to take a loan from Ashley to participate.
Okay, good. Well, you guys certainly have that conversation. We're raising 2.5 million seed. We've secured about 330 of that already, and very interested to talk to people that have an interest in both mining and a diversified investment through HPC as well.
All right, thanks, Charlie.
Thank you, Liz.
All right, last conversation is with Enzo from AlphaSigma Capital. Hi, Enzo, how's it going?
Hey, how are you? Nice to see you again. Thanks for having me on.
Enzo, tell us a bit about AlphaSigma.
Yeah, so we're what's called a multi-strategy investment fund. So basically, the way I look at blockchain is that the blockchain economy is going to be going up over the next 20 years, is similar to the internet. What the internet did to issue information, I believe that blockchain will do to payments, like banking processes of that nature, and money in general. So we don't have a crystal ball. So the way we look at things is that we're going to invest in growth capital opportunities. So these are projects that are smaller, but they're past the ICO stage. They're past like the Coinlist stage. In fact, we looked at Cello, but we couldn't get in because we don't have a foreign operation yet, because they also block Canada. So we have a trading desk up in Canada and a merchant bank that we work with up there. So for us, we need to have a complete foreign entity, and it can't be owned by me because I'm a U.S. citizen. So yeah, there's a lot of little navigation that you have to deal with, and that's why it gets a little complicated, some of this stuff. But for us, what we do is we'll invest in projects that we see have promise. So they have a real actual ecosystem. They have they have clients. They're making money. There's a mainnet. There's things happening. There's a GitHub group. I mean, there's just a lot going on. Some of them I would call, have had some basic issues as fallen angels. Like they were flying high, and then because of the crypto winter, they had to pivot, or they had to restructure a bit. The other thing that we're leading with, and we are actually institutionally focused, is we are leading with research. So we started to write research in a fundamental approach. No one covers altcoin companies or companies like a Celsius with research coverage. So we are writing research, and it's not going to be public information type research. It'll be for the LPs of the fund as well as for friends of the fund. So and it's gotten a lot of positive feedback. So we're trying to figure out how to best value these companies out of the hype cycle, and who are the long-term, who's going to be the Amazon of the crypto industry? Who's going to be and I think a lot of these players, right? You have Celsius and you have other ones like Linus and everyone else. But the opportunity there is at some point, I assume that there's going to be a massive type of consolidation. So a lot of that stuff that we look at as a fund is focused on that. But we also invest in the equities market. So we actually track Voyager, for example, which is a small cap equity or micro cap. Really, it's traded up in Canada. That's a good example of a company that's listed and also has a token. Okay.
And for you guys, so you mentioned that you work with kind of later stage teams, or at least they're at mainnet, right? You know they're substantial, you know that they have customers and users, and what's the ticket size? And then you invest, so you just said you make equity investments, but mostly in this fund specifically, it's tokens, is that right?
Right now, when we launched the actual token, we seeded it with a few million, and we're raising 100 million total. As you start getting larger, some of the altcoin strategies we have to be kind of careful with. Our first quarter during the March mayhem, we actually beat Bitcoin, we beat the Euro, the kind of Eureka Crypto Hedge Fund Index by a long shot. So we do focus on these active opportunities. But for us, we just did we're about to close a kind of distressed asset deal where we're buying a blockchain company that has that had basically they ran out of money, but the software is built, and we plan to take that business and help to restart it. Our ticket sizes range between 50 to 100,000, usually about $100,000, all the way up to $1 million plus. And as we grow the fund, the fund is growing in the midst of this, so we've already have more capital. And what's interesting about us too is, as a multi-strat fund, when we hold things when we hold cash or really stable coin, we do end up using products that are lending kind of capabilities with their 6%, 8%, 7%, 5% type of interest rates, because it's just better for us to hold it in that type of money market structure than just leaving it in cash, which is actually being debased as we speak. So yeah, I as a multi-strat fund, we're like the concept of, we don't know where this is really going to go. We know blockchain is going to go. We don't know who the winners are going to be completely big, but we have a good idea and we get good deal flow. So let's try to pick those winners as well as possible, but have and help them. So we try to help our companies or the companies that we cover.
Okay.
But we just started in January. We don't have 2019 returns. We just finished Q1.
Last question before hopping off, Enzo. So what does your personal portfolio look like? I mean, not specifics, but I mean, are you all in on crypto and blockchain, or like how
that's very interesting. So through the fund, I invested, right? Of course, I also all of my crypto assets are now there. I do have some little crypto assets here and there, like BTC. It's hard for me to sit in BTC, even though I want to. So I have most of my personals will be in BTC. It's just not good for the quarterly numbers. But I've actually, to be quite honest with you, when March started really killing, COVID started killing the market, I started buying. I invested in a lot of equities. I bought a bunch of equities that were just, the big companies. They're never going to go out of business type companies. So, but what's interesting about that too is that, I do want to see the decoupling of Bitcoin from the equities markets. And I really thought that was going to happen in March, and it didn't happen. So that was kind of like, we're not there yet. We still have that issue.
Well, thank you, Enzo. I really appreciate your time. Ashley, thanks. Charlie, Mike, and Matthew, thank you, everybody, for joining. And thank you, Mousebelt. If anyone wants to get a hold of me, you can go ahead and email me at elizabethk@etclabs.org, Venture This on Twitter, and LizTK on Telegram. Bye, Mousebelt, and bye, everybody.
Thanks, Elizabeth.
Bye, REIMAGINE Conference.
Thanks, guys. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks,
Thank
bye.
you.